Hi guys, this is Godfrey, your trusted mentor and the coach for the Candidate Fast Track Coaching Program. This is my third video this week. This is me discussing tip number 3, how to analyze the engineering problem. So I'm going to give you some tips on how you actually can analyze this. So I've got my notes next to me here. So what is the objective of this outcome? Okay, I'm just going to look at my notes quickly and say, this is to apply engineering principle, okay, and reasoning to develop conclusion or recommendation. So in this particular criteria under outcome 1, you need to analyze or use your engineering principle, okay, and apply some engineering reasoning behind your engineering problem identification and investigation process. Okay, when it comes to analyzing, because it's important, if you remember, outcome 1 says define, investigate, and analyze. So today, I just want to cover the analyze. So there are 5 things that you need to do when you analyze an engineering problem. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you on my screen here. Hope you can see my screen. All right. So the first thing here, I'm going to quickly write it down here. So when you analyze the engineering problem, so I'm going to say here how to analyze the engineering problem. Okay. So like I say, problem or problems, I'm going to put an S there. So number 1, the things here you need to use. All right, let's fix this one. I'm trying to make these videos as short as possible. Okay. You need to use engineering principles, okay, to interpret your data. Okay. So remember that in still outcome 1 criteria, I think it's 1.2, where they talk about investigating the problem. Okay. So when you do the criteria 1.3 ways to analyze, you need to interpret that data. Okay. The data, you need to interpret it and use your engineering principle, to interpret that data, depending on what problem are you solving. Okay. The second thing that you need to do is to conduct calculations. Okay. Conduct calculations. If your problem involves that you need to do some calculations, calcs, okay, or you are using models. Okay, some of the problems that we are dealing with or we are trying to solve, then they may not need some calculation. So maybe you have done some modeling, to indicate how the problem has been identified, investigated, and interpreted. All right, or you can use what they call it comparative, or you can use what they call comparative studies. Okay. Studies. Okay. This is where you look at, okay, option 1 is this, and option 2 is this, option 3 is this. So you compare those options or studies that you have taken in order to interpret the data of the problem that you are trying to analyze. So this is very important. So I'm giving you some nuggets here. Remember, these are tips. And then the third thing that you need to consider when you analyze the problem is to develop alternatives. Okay, solutions. All right. Okay, this is very important. I've read over 1,000 reports of candidates that I'm helping with the EXA process. And I've seen a lot of reports where candidates, they don't actually show alternative solution. Okay, here's the problem. We have defined it. We have investigated the problem. Now we are analyzing the problem. Okay, what are the alternative solutions? Okay, so it could be, option 1 solution, option 2, and option 3. Okay, and then if you choose either one of these options, you need to give the reason why that solution you think is appropriate for solving this problem. So it's important that you need to show alternative solution that you as an engineer or technologist or technician, you've taken into account. Okay, because engineering problem, we don't solve problem only based on one solutions. Okay, so you need to show that you have given a bit of thoughts around the solutions that you're providing. And the fourth thing that we need to do then is to define, okay, the scope of work, okay, based on your analysis. Okay, based on your analysis. Okay, so you analyze a particular problem, you've done some calculation or some modeling or some comparative studies, and you have developed some alternative solutions. So you say, based on this data that I have, therefore the scope of work in order to fix this problem, to solve this problem, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you need to share what is the scope of work. All right, and then the fifth thing here, you need to then provide, okay, provide justified recommendations. Okay, we need to provide justified recommendation with reasoning, of course. Okay, with reasoning. Okay, so it's important that once we have analyzed something, you need to give us the recommendation. Okay, give the assessors, people, they need to look, okay, this is what we have done, your recommendation based on the data that we have interpreted, okay, the alternative solution that we have discussed, therefore your recommendation is this. Okay, so it's important you must show them. Sometimes it might be your findings. Okay, so recommendation, it might be your findings. Okay, because remember that outcome 2 is all about developing an engineering solution or designing an engineering solution. So your solution will depend, okay, on your recommendations or on your findings. So if in your outcome 1, you don't show this a step, you don't discuss how you have analyzed the problem, then how do you go and provide a solution without recommendations or any findings about the data that you try to interpret? All right, so this is very important. But the important thing that here is, if really you are struggling with your EXA application form on how to actually demonstrate competence with evidence in your outcomes, okay, join me on my LinkedIn. I'm doing a webinar on the 12th of March, where I'm going to be showing some of the examples around these outcomes that I'm discussing. I might not discuss all of the outcomes because we only have like a short time during the webinar. But if you are interested, you can either send me an email at mongwe@imekacoaching.co.za, or you can drop me a message on my LinkedIn profile, and then we can see how we can best help you. Okay, so this is just a short video just to help you guys on how to analyze the engineering problem. Let's recap. Use engineering principle to interpret your data, conduct calculations or modeling or comparative studies. Okay, develop alternative solution, which is very critical, and define your scope of work based on your options, based on your analysis, and then provide justified recommendation or findings of what you have found based on the problem that you have analyzed. And then from there, you can then move on to outcome number 2. So I'll be doing these videos on a continuous basis. I don't want to make them too long, but I hope this helps. This gives a bit of clarity and a bit of directions. See you in the next video. Cheers.